Hello everyone, I'm Mike and welcome back to the channel. I'm joined with my bro, Isaac, and we're here to talk about some video games. More specifically, we're here to talk about Hytale. Now, for for what many people may already know or don't know, okay, Hytale was basically a game that was announced around like over at least 9 years ago, or at least it was in development for 9 years. Now, it was basically a voxel like survival adventure game, and many people considered this game to be like the spiritual successor to Minecraft. It was a game that was created by Hypixel Studios. It was a game that was basically from the remnant from the an official like Minecraft server. Well, I think it was an unofficial Minecraft server. I guess that was just a very popular Minecraft server called Hypixel. The people who created that server went off to form their own game studio, Hypixel Studios, and they went to create Hytale. So it was a game that was showcased several years ago to thunderous applause. Like it got millions of views on its trailer. A lot of people thought it was going to be an amazing game. It even got the blessing of Notch, who was the original creator of Minecraft. And ever since that trailer, they've been doing like small little bits of like updates on their websites, just teasers here and there. Some development like progress was made here and there, but there was no solid news regarding an alpha test, a beta test, or a full release of the game. And there was a lot of like dead silence between each like update. And very recently, like a few days ago from this video, it was recently announced that Hypixel Studios is shutting down and the Hytale project has been canceled. Obviously, a lot of people were upset about this news, including the former CEO of Hypixel, which was named by Simon. Yeah, like Simon he was just very upset, and yeah, it was just like it was just a very like sad to hear because the game showed so much promise, but it was a mix of like development hell and just like I guess developer burnout and a lot of worry from the company. A lot of people speculated that it was quote unquote spectacle creep or feature creep, but one of the developers openly stated no, it wasn't feature creep. In fact, a lot of development staff were very eager to add a lot of features to the game, but like what I believe caused the game to start like falling down and start like collapsing was when they decided to add crossplay to the game. And when they also added new team members to the development studio, because it was a very small niche studio of developers that were they had a very chaotic like development like style, but everybody was so eager, so happy to deal with the chaos. I believe they called it like organized chaos or something like that. I believe I forgot what they called it, but they had a lot of ideas flying around the company, and they had absolutely no problem dealing with that. It was a very fun and engaging time for them. But when like Riot Games decided that they wanted to add like crossplay, they wanted to obviously make this game as huge as Minecraft. That's when a lot of the cracks started to show. I guess my takeaway from this reveal was that the big issue is just not is with the development staff. It kind of just goes to show you that when it comes to development teams, it's the quality and not the quantity, because when you have like 300 man teams, things can get a little bit like chaotic in the worst way, where you have a lot of like chefs in the kitchen giving ideas, a lot of like team workers not really gelling with each other. But when you have like a smaller team of people that all are on the same page, development can flow a lot more smoothly. And this is an example of things not going smoothly because you have too many people trying to get the job, trying to like just work on a project with no passion in it. When you have a team that has passion, it really does throw a wrench in the whole like creative process, the whole development process. And that's my takeaway from it. But I was kind of curious, like, do you have like any other like takeaways from what it was like announced here?
I mean, I'll come to admit I've never heard about this game until you
Mm-hmm.
actually brought this to my attention. But you say this
Yeah.
game's been in development for what, 9 years, so
Yes.
almost a decade right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me, it just sounds like at the end of the day, it's like, listen, if you guys are not gonna get this game out, like, then what's the point of continuing to keep funding? Because, like, you mentioned how sometimes where you make a good idea, which I assume was like a mod or something like that. Did it start out as a mod or did it grow?
I believe I believe it didn't start. It was its own project. I believe it had its own engine called the Legacy engine.
Okay.
But of course, it obviously had a lot of the DNA from Minecraft because, again, as mentioned, the people who were working on this game originally had their own Minecraft server called Hypixel, and a lot of the people that worked on that server wanted to break off from just having a
Okay.
Minecraft server to making their own game.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Minecraft inspired, pretty
Yes.
much. Okay, that's totally fine. Yeah, I guess unfortunately when it comes to projects like this being this ambitious, and then again they got picked up by Riot, so
Mm-hmm.
now things now the game's changed. You're no longer working for yourself. You're working for a bigger company,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to meet deadlines. And then with that comes a completely different array. Now you're not really making a game out of passion.
Yeah.
You essentially have to make a game, and you have to get a suitable product that needs to be
Mm-hmm.
out under the company right
Yeah.
now.
That, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
You finish up.
No. You
Okay.
want to
Okay. Because I did
say your
want to
piece?
say that the former CEO, again Simon, who did step away from the company due to like worry about getting in the way of his own team. He did mention that Riot Games did give his team a lot of freedom from what they were working with. And the former CEO believed that he needed to step away because he felt that he was going to get in his team's way with what they were working on. So it's like a bit of a like a different situation where like CEOs bail because of like the new management they have to do it, but the CEO bailed because he felt that he was gonna get in the way of his own team.
Yeah, and so in a situation like that, basically what you said, sometimes it's sometimes in it, the, management moves around and um, gets pushed around at the moment right now. Sometimes, like in a situation like you mentioned at the moment, the CEO end up taking themselves away from the project in fear that it might get away of the creative process. So, yeah, but like I said, when you've been in a project for this long period of time, man, at some point you have to be willing to produce a product. And I just don't understand within 9 years of games. And again, this is not the first time games being in creative hell the way they've been in,
Yeah.
but at some point you would think you would have at least some kind of demo or some kind of final project. So I don't know what's going on. I just maybe feel like there's a lot more that's not being discussed, and reason why this game was in such a development period. Again, like you said, you mentioned with the CEOs and everything, though. But having those big enough teams right now, like you said, it's tough. It is tough to manage so much a big squad like that in order to get your project out. In hopes that you thought you would get the game out, but it seems like I think there is a big issue of trying to cross passion with actual process, and sometimes when you're just a couple of people making a game for fun or a mod, it's one thing, but when you have to actually run teams and get a product out, it's a completely different story. And I think that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of the situation where a bunch of modders kind of, I don't think they're modders, but this is kind of that cautionary tale.
Very much so, I would say. And as the articles have stated, the Hypixel Studios will be shutting down within the um, next few weeks. And fortunately, Riot Games is giving some very generous severance packages and making sure that the team members all land on their feet with finding new jobs and whatnot. So it's very nice for them. It's still just a shame that we're basically never going to see a full playable like version of this game, because from what I saw, I was actually very interested in this game as someone who barely played Minecraft. I only played it like twice in my life, mostly because I felt like the combat wasn't very good, but the combat in Hytale looked a little bit better, and I think that if you had that combat mixed with the exploration and customization and everything else that we're planning to do with Hytale, I thought it would have been an amazing game for what it was trying to do. So, and who knows, maybe one day we will see some kind of like, like development build for people to just screw around with and see what could have been. Because as some people have said, these things do wind up on the internet one way or another. So hopefully that will happen. And that being said, sorry about that. I mean, there are also other alternatives. I believe there was another game made by a person that did work on Hytale. I believe it was called like I forget what the name of the game. I need to remember it as I do the clickety clack on the keyboard right now, because I know there was a game that I saw it one day. Um, it was another game. I just need to remember the name. I think it was called like it was like Vagrant. No, not Vagrant Story. Like Valiant Story. Like it was something with a V. Like, jeez, I need to just like, I just need to. I mean, I'll probably link it in the like in the chat when I remember it, because like I can't remember on the top of my head right now, which is a shame. But yeah, what do you think about the news? Do you about like Hytale? Were you looking forward to this game? Do you think it was going to truly be a successor to Minecraft? Do you think it was just? Do you think it wasn't just it was nothing special or anything like that? Let us know what you feel in the comments below. And if you like what we do here, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mike with my bro Isaac, and we are saying peace.
Take care.
Okay, so just as we finished recording this, apparently some news just came out that completely overshadows the discussion we had earlier about apparently the former CEO of Hypixel, Simon, has openly stated that he shows some interest in actually buying the project for Hytale and make it an open source project. He on Twitter has openly stated that he is willing to put $25 million on the line to finish this project. No Kickstarter campaign, no extra investors, no nothing. He wants to make an open source project. So even if him and his whatever team he would want to work with can't finish the project, making it open source so that the worldwide community can finish it is a very interesting idea, because apparently Simon believes so much in this project that he's willing to put that much money on the line to get this thing done. But he also openly stated that, of course, himself and his family comes first, which is obviously very noble. Now, that's a very interesting turn of affairs, I would have to say, because, like I said, this game does show a lot of promise as a successor to Minecraft and beyond that. I feel like it's a game that can easily go beyond like what Minecraft has achieved. And yeah, that's a very cool announcement. Now, there's no word that he's actually going to do this right now, but it's definitely up in the air. So that being said, what do you feel about this turn of events?
I mean, it is very interesting that he may be willing. Again, this is just communication and talk, and I don't know how much you want to take in terms of the world of social media because people can say something and then pull back
Yeah,
at the end of the
true.
minute. No.
Now
Um,
then,
with that being interesting, say, but if this is something that he believes he wants to go into the project, that is very interesting. That he's going to be willing to put up his money up front.
hmm
So I guess this becomes an open source game where anybody can just simply play the game.
well, it's not.
This won't be for profit in any
Yeah.
kind of way. For the fact that you're going to put in that kind of money, you're willing to put 25 million up as an open source project. I feel like
hmm
at the end of the day, you would just okay. Well, it, 9 years of this project didn't go as well, so it just feels like if that's the case, why don't they just kind of release it as is to the
Well,
public right
because
now? Riot still owns it,
Riot still owns
so
it.
essentially he wants to buy
To buy the rights back, yes.
and then just release it as is and just let the community do whatever they will.
Yes, basically. And honestly, that's probably the best case scenario instead of letting this game wither and die on the vine because companies love to hold on to the corpses of dead projects and do nothing.
And probably tax write-offs too
That
for
too.
another
They want to do
situation.
that.
So like if you can just write it off and say like it is what it is. But if he's willing to put up his money just so he can release it to the world and let people do whatever they feel like it, I mean, hey, power to him. And he's not making a cent off that, and he's just doing it for raw passion. That's great. Now, again, we'll find out what happens in the next couple of days if he was on the bender right now and he didn't know what he was talking about. But, power to you. Power to him.
Very
That's
much
it.
so.